You're listening to the Real Estate Runway Podcast, powered by QUATTRO Capital, where we are all about alternative business and investment strategies to help you amplify life and maximize wealth. Here's your host, the recovering engineer turned multifamily investor, Chad Sutton.
All right, folks, today we're going to have a seasoned real estate veteran. This is someone who runs a brokerage out of Philly and really specializes in that $0 to $5 million real estate space. So everything from, she calls it resi-mercial, residential real estate, all the way up to medium-sized commercial and everything in between. So lots of experience here. We're going to talk about knowing your numbers, knowing your markets. We're going to talk about marketing and how you reach the right people. Just a lot of good nuggets today. So I'm really excited to get into the show. If you get any value out of this, folks, you know what? Pay it forward. Scroll down, hit that 5-star review button, leave us a little thoughtful comment line or two. That's how we reach more people just like you. So pay it forward. Don't just be a sponge, folks. All right. And now let's get into a couple more announcements. If you want to be on the show, hit us at thequattroway.com/podcast. Love to have you on. These conversations just make my day, bringing value to other people. So check us out there. If you want to email us, give us a topic request or anything you just want to hear about, hit us at podcast@thequattroway.com. And all the social medias, we're on all the social medias. If you want to be on TikTok, if that's your thing, I don't understand it, but we're on TikTok. So hit us at Real Estate Runway Podcast on TikTok. We're on YouTube at Real Estate Runway Podcast, and we're everywhere podcasts are listened to by the name Real Estate Runway Podcast. And also the managing partners of QUATTRO Capital, our sponsor right back here. I'm one of the managing partners. We're all on social. So hit us at Team QUATTRO Capital, one word, no special characters, or just visit us at thequattroway.com and you can click to any one of the individuals' personal pages and follow there. Now, without further ado, let's get right into the episode and bring some value. See you there. All right. Real Estate Runway family, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. I'm your host, Chad Sutton, and we're powered by QUATTRO Capital here behind me. I'm joined today by Maria Quattrone, founder and CEO of Maria Quattrone and Associates of RE/MAX at Home and Motto Mortgage Expert Solutions. Maria, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. Thank you for overcoming all the technical difficulties that we had together with me. Great to have you here. How's it going today?
Great to see you, Chad. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you today.
Absolutely. It's so great to have you here finally. And so to get the episode started a little bit, tell me a little bit about who Maria is. How did you get into the business you're in? What is your business doing? And what prompted you to go that direction in your life? Let's hear a little bit about you before we get into the meat of today's episode.
So I started my career right out of college in radio advertising sales. I spent 11 years selling air, which anybody who knows what that's, it is treacherous because there's nothing that you can see, touch, or feel. And it's for 60 seconds and then it's poof and it's over. So I worked with a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, universities, regional and local businesses here in Philadelphia, help them grow their business by utilizing radio as an outlet for their advertising. So that was pretty crazy. And after 11 years of being very successful in that field, I was ready to do something else. I wanted an opportunity to be really the sky is the limit. And so real estate came to me from a friend of mine who said he thought I would be great at it. And I was not really sure at first. And I did a little bit of investigating or a lot of investigating. And I decided to forge ahead. And within the next month, I scheduled for my training and test. And within 3 months, I was licensed and I already had sold a property. And that was in 2004.
Wow. So you got into it in 2004, and I guess that would venture to say you're still in business. So you survived the 2008 crash downturn and maybe are about to survive whatever we're in now. So that's a pretty fantastic track record. I'm going to go off script for a second because anytime I hear that, I love to go there. Any lessons you can bring the world of how to survive a massive economic downturn in this business, having survived it at that time?
So we didn't just survive, but we thrived during that time. I think that one of the reasons is that I'm a skilled sales professional and I learned to be an expert in real estate, and clients needed a solution. They needed somebody to guide them through everything that was happening at that time. And where I saw a lot of my colleagues leaving the industry, we in fact grew our business significantly. It was definitely difficult, hard, a lot of hard work, a lot of late hours. But one thing that I did is it was like first in, first out. I was the first one in, last one out. I said that. But it was mindset, keeping your mind strong. I shut off the news. I still don't watch the news to today, even in this day and time. A lot of the news I can get from social when I'm on there, or people will just tell you. So anything that really important happens, somebody who will be talking about it at the water cooler, so to speak. But that was a big thing, and really focusing on building skills, knowing the questions to ask clients, understanding how real estate gets sold, understanding what a good deal is for an investor. I also started my career after 04, 05, I was working still in my other business. And then 06, I found out about expired listings. So I started to focus on that niche of working with expired listings. And because I had so many of them listings, I started to attract investors. And a lot of the areas in Philadelphia at the time were starting to gentrify, and people were buying investment property all over the outskirts of Center City. And I was able then to start to develop relationships with investors, developers, builders, and people like that. So that's part of the niche marketing.
Yeah, fantastic. And before we get into the topic of niche marketing and how that can really amplify your results, your business is doing a lot of things. I think the listeners will fully appreciate that just looking at the bio below. So you guys are in lending, you're in investment property. So what all does your company have its fingers in related to the real estate industry?
Yeah, we work with regular first-time buyers, empty nesters, people who are buying their first investment property, to builders who are building 130-unit buildings. So it is a very vast experience that we have. We have many seasoned professionals in our company, one of which was a developer and worked in commercial real estate. So we're able to really fine-tune what we do for clients because of our experience. It's unusual that a residential real estate company is residential and commercial. That's why I call it resi-mercial. And we bridge the gap between the larger commercial firms that don't really want to handle the $2 and $3 million deals. Quite frankly, they're too small for them. And that's our sweet spot on the commercial side, up to around 5 million or so. And then we've worked with clients, believe it or not, our smallest sale, I think, was like $20,000 to 5 million plus. We definitely are a different animal, and it's a lot different over here for sure.
I love your term, the resi-mercial space, because I've never heard that before, but it makes sense. And there really is, folks who've listened to the show for a while, you've heard me talk about single family real estate. You've heard me talk about $40 million buildings that I've acquired. And so there's a huge gap there. And I think what she's talking about, there really are not that many players who specialize in everything from, let's just call it 0 to 5 million, because there's a lot of different colors of transactions in that space. And the lending is even more challenging. And I have some theories on why, but having a professional who really understands pretty much all there is to offer in that space is pretty unique and rare. So I'm excited to have you on the show today. And so let's get into the first prong of our episode. And thank you for giving me that background, because that really helps me with some questions I can ask here. But as effectively a unique and boutique brokerage firm, first and foremost, the importance of targeted marketing is very paramount in your success or growth in your company. So how do y'all utilize the concept of targeted marketing and more fine-tuned marketing you have to use that to reach the right clients who want to buy things. You have to and market the actual deals. You have to reach that. You have to use those concepts to find deals to buy in the first place when you're networking with all these owners and finding the right target buyer that you have, and everything in between. So let's talk about how your company excels in the marketing space and getting what people need to see in front of the right people, and how that helps you grow.
So it's a couple things. One, being well networked throughout the city of Philadelphia, having connections with zoning attorneys, real estate attorneys, architects, electrical and engineers, the people who clean up the dirt is really important in the industry. And I've been able to do that through my connections. I'm a member of the Building Industry Association of Philadelphia, as well as a local private club here. And Philadelphia, although it is a big city, it is a very small place, especially in the real estate sector. Most people who do a lot of business here know all the people that do the business here. And so it's like more of a small town than a large city feel, actually. Unless you've been here and experienced it, you want to think it that way, but it is. And so knowing who the players are, knowing what they buy, having meetings with them, coffee, dinner, lunches, supporting their charities, really being entrenched. I try to go to every building industry event through the BIA and through the Center City Business District, since I'm a local business here in Center City, Philadelphia, and really connecting with people belly to belly, face to face. Even during the pandemic, I still did it. We did it on Zoom. I started a podcast from that called Be the Solution. And then from there, I developed a database of about 28,000 people, which I'd say there's about 2,400 investor, developers, builders in there in some space, whether they buy vacant land, multifamily, buy and flip, or buy and hold for single family investment, or they own industrial buildings. We sold the largest building we sold was 200,000 square feet and about 4 acres. That was a couple of years ago. It wasn't actually even in Philadelphia. It was about an hour and a half away from here, but that was all through network and referrals. Although I will say that we do make phone calls and we do prospect every day for new business and for existing business. So if we get a listing opportunity, generally we may have a buyer for it. And if we don't have a buyer for it, it's probably because it's not listed at the right price. So we do sell a lot of our properties in-house, and we do co-op broker as well, and we do market them. But we will have clients that will come to us and say, listen, I want to sell my property. I don't want to put it on the market. And we will go out directly and market to our database via email, via phone calls, text messages, phone calls, all of the above, to make that call broker. That's what we are, to broker that deal. So the niche is really understanding who your clients are, what they're looking for, and how you can go about and find those off-market opportunities. And we do that through a lot of additional other marketing as well. So we're marketing within our database and finding deals for people from one client to another.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Maria. And so I guess it's fair to say that your clients generally have a personal relationship with you. I think I heard, we go everywhere we can to meet people, like rub elbows, be belly to belly, I think, as you mentioned at the table, actually see people in 3D, and then not only just meet them, but some of the touch points I think I heard in there in following up and building that relationship, supporting their charities, checking in with them periodically. So is that fair to say that part of the niche marketing is building stronger relationships before you even market someone in the first place?
I think that is one of my strong suits, is relationship building, is more about taking care of people and not worrying so much about the deal, but more about the relationship, because deals come and go.
Yeah.
Also, I'm very good at business development, meeting new people, connecting people. I'm a connector. I try to help other people find the people that they're looking for with no monetary in return, just to help them grow their business. And I think that goes a long way. A lot of the people I helped a long time ago, they're now very successful investors, builders, developers, and some of them own hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate. And I knew them when they had one property.
Well, that's pretty incredible. And so let's go to that for a second, because folks, and we do have a lot of listeners in the Northeast, specifically Philadelphia and surrounding areas. So folks, if you're in that area, pay attention, because this may be a team you need to network with and perhaps partner with if you are looking to do $0 to $5 million deals, which a lot of you are. So let's talk to them. And if you're not in that area, you're still going to get some gold out of this, because these are nuggets. So Maria, what do you have to say to the aspiring real estate investor who that $0 to $5 million space? There's a lot of different property types, sizes, niches that you can get into. Do you find the people you've seen grow and survive and do very well, the ones you saw start from nothing and go to pretty well endowed owner, did they seem to have better success in a certain sector, or was it more how they carried themselves and the actions they took along the way? You've seen some of these growth stories, so love to
So
hear it.
I think it's both. I've seen people, for example, they may have worked for a larger developer at the time, and then they learned the ropes from that organization, and then they partnered up with somebody else and then opened up their own company and their own develop, whether they're builders or developers, some of them are builders and developers. And, or maybe they're an investor and they have a full-time job, but they want to be just an investor. I say, you should get on in an arena where you can be boots on the ground. So in this case, say you wanted to be an investor who is buying, selling, flipping real estate, or buying and hold. Boots on the ground could be working for another investment company. It could be working in a real estate company, getting your real estate license. I so often hear people want to own portfolios. The best way to do that is to learn the real estate. You could be boots on the ground as a real estate agent, as a realtor, learning the value, learning the market, learning what buyers, especially if you're flipping, what buyers want. You don't know what buyers want. You're not the closest people to what buyers want outside of the buyer is the real estate agent, because they're touring them properties. They hear what they like. They hear what they don't like. By the time that trickles down to the investor, there's a long leeway. I talk about it like say you're in a war and there's the boots on the ground, people fighting the war, right? We back home don't know really what goes on for a while later. It's the same in real estate. Like I could tell you the trends that are happening today because I could see it because I'm right next to it, where the public won't know about it for a year or 2 years later by the time it gets to them. Just like it happened in 2008. I saw at the end of 2006 that we were going into a disaster because I was watching the inventory climb every single day. It was only in the market a couple of years, but I'm very diligent about my work and this on top of the numbers. I understand market absorption rates. I understand the market statistics. I understand how about shadow inventory. People don't even know what shadow inventory is. You have to be able to understand these to forecast what is going to happen in the future. And so at the end of 2006, I kept saying every day, this is a nightmare. We're going from 6 months to 9 months to 16 months of inventory. Come 2008, in some areas in Center City, the higher end specifically, we had 10 plus years of inventory. So there was no way for that to absorb. That got taken, those assets back, a couple of them to the bank, large condo buildings. And then they had to reevaluate them. And eventually they came back to market. Some of them came back in a revamped way and lower pricing. You have to understand what's happening right now. I would say in Philadelphia, I would be concerned about the large number of rentals that are coming to market. We're slated for 16,000 rental deliveries by the end of 2025. And right now, a lot of the apartment buildings are offering 2 and 3 month concessions. So how does that work? So I talked to a client this morning about we sold him a property and it's a commercial property. It was going to be commercial on the first floor, apartments above. I called him and said, would you consider making those condos instead for sale product? I said, because the amount of apartments that are coming is just going to be, it's astronomical. And if we could pivot now, because he's not out of the ground yet, they just are demoing it, then we may have a great for sale project, and we need more for sale inventory, especially that first time buyer for sale inventory, because we know based on new household formations that over the next 5 years, we don't have enough product for those people.
Wow. And so let me take that a step further here. So, and you gave a little indication here. You saw some of the early 2008 behavior before it really hit the news. So you just mentioned one of them is that you're seeing you're seeing deliveries, that the projected deliveries are astronomical, and you're already seeing, in some cases, a lot of concessions being offered. What else are you seeing in your part of the country that might indicate that we're headed for something that's no good? Or do you think that's...
Well, you have to look at the office sector as well, Chad, right? So in Philadelphia, there's lots of people still not back in the office towers. And the A-class buildings will just be fine because people will always acclimate towards A-class property. The B and C-class properties need to be revamped. They need to either come down and be rebuilt again, or they need to be completely gutted out and turned outside of offices, because they may still have leases in place, but there's no people in the building, but those leases will expire and they will not lease up. So at that point, there's a projection that office is going to go down by about 29% in value of office buildings nationwide. So that could be like a real big meltdown for cities, not just here in Philadelphia, but globally.
Yeah, that's major. And I think one of the economists that I follow is his discussion here is we don't have this problem in Japan. We don't have this problem in China. It's like our CEOs have got to man up a little bit, do their job and say, if you're going to work, you're going to come back to work. But yeah, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Europe has the problem. It is in Europe. And it most definitely is here. They need to get people to stop from WFH and go back to an office. I'm a fan of working at the office. Personally, I think that there's more synergy, there's more accountability, there's more culture. But that's my personal belief. And I like to be with my people. Plus, I require people around me. I can't really do stuff without people because I'm only good at a couple things, Chad.
Fair enough. I love that. And I guess that's another conundrum is when we're talking about lots of residential deliveries in the rental space, already seeing concessions for 2 to 3 months just to get an apartment filled. And now we have all these office buildings that may have to be converted to something. God hope they don't convert them to rentals. That would be an even bigger supply problem. So this is the kind of stuff, folks, when you're investing in real estate anywhere in the country, you have to know what's going on in your city, because this is a local phenomenon. And what we just talked about here is different than what's going on in Austin, Texas, is different than what's going on in Los Angeles, is different than what's going on in Nashville. It's a highly localized thing, but knowing your numbers, I think, is one of the biggest things Maria has said today that, is what's going to make your investment go great or not. You could get a great deal on a building, but if you're in a city where mass population exodus is happening, you're going to see some pressures in your ownership tent. So Maria, thank you for coming on the show today. I've got to pivot to the Quattro questions real quick, if you don't mind. And these are going to catch you a little bit by surprise because I know we didn't have the privilege of going over the questionnaire beforehand. So we're going to wing this one together. So question number 1, Maria, what is your superpower? Could be in life or business, your choice. And how does it serve you?
Resilience. Never giving up. Even when you want to stay in that bed with the covers over your head. I think resilience. I also building relationships.
Resilience and building relationships. Yeah.
Yeah. I think just being able to connect with people immediately when you meet somebody is a strong suit of mine. I use a lot of humor and enthusiasm, and I like to have fun when I'm working. So that has done well for me over the last 30 years.
I love that. No matter what business you're in, folks, you're in the people business. So relationships are key. And I love what you just said there, but just continue taking the next step, because the only way you fail is if you stop. And so sometimes you just have to continue. You know what I'm saying? So, okay.
One thing with connecting with people is I always remember something about them or their family. I called somebody today. I recognized her name. And then we met. I said, when? She said, 8 years ago. I said, did you used to own a store in New Hope, Pennsylvania? She's like, yeah. She's like, I can't believe you remember that. I met her one time, a half an hour.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen her talked to her in 8 years. She's aspiring to be a real estate agent. Anyway, so remembering something about somebody makes them feel important.
It does. And let me give you a little pro tip, because unlike Maria, I have a terrible memory, and I'll see Maria's face in Times Square. I'm like, I know that person, but I can't place it. So what I always have done, and this doesn't help with that scenario, but with the remembering of a fact about people, you have a great device in your hand. It's called an iPhone or a cell phone. Anytime you have a conversation with somebody, all those contact records have a little notes section. Like anytime I meet someone out at the country club, or I meet someone on a call like this or something like that, I will write 2 or 3 things about them that I thought were special. And maybe it was their kids' names, or maybe it was they owned a store in New or something like that. And you'd be surprised when you go to meet with that person in the future, you can pull that up and you can remember something because you wrote it down. What a concept. So try that out. Maria, next question. Just go to the other side of the coin. What is your biggest failure or mistake? Again, life or business. And what did you learn from it?
Ooh, geez. That's a tough one. Biggest failure. There was a lot of them, so I don't know which one is the biggest.
This one's a head scratcher. People, especially if this one catches you off guard, people are like, oh man, let me go think of all the things I've done wrong in the past and try to rank them. But it's amazing what our failures or perceived failures, because to be fair, it's only a failure if you quit. What are perceived failures?
Okay, so I think something that held me back for a long time was comparison. So the comparison of myself to others, not enjoying. I think the biggest mistake too was with the comparison for a decade was not enjoying the journey and trying to reach a destination. But I'm never reaching the destination because we never reach the destination because the journey is forever as long as we're here. So I think that was a failure. I think because I had a monetary goal and then I remember looking at the piece of paper and saying to myself, and I literally went like this. Is this it? Is this all there is? Because nothing's changed. So the only thing that will change will be you. And the only person that can make it happen is to pick up the mirror and look at yourself. And it was well over a decade ago. And that's what I did.
That is super powerful. And you're right. It's about the journey. There's no destination. As soon as you reach that destination you're planning for, I hope you have another goal planned because you're going to be wildly disappointed, whatever it is. If, wow, this is it. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy the journey. I love that so much. All right. Next question. Here at Quattro, we have 4 pillars, starting with people, where there's people in all of our businesses, residents in our properties, investors we work with. We're first about the people, and then we're about the properties because we're entrusted an asset that is amazing and we have to keep it amazing and make it better. And then there is profits. We're hoping to make a profit for us and everybody that's invested with us. But then it leads to philanthropy. It's taking some of that money and putting it back into the world, which comes full circle. Philanthropy is taking care of people, right? So it's a big circle that we're all working with here. I love to give my guests an opportunity to share their philanthropic hearts, how you may choose to give back. Sometimes it's time, sometimes it's treasures, sometimes it's talents. And you'd be surprised. We actually have a lot of reports of listeners of this show seeking out a philanthropy or a venture that speaks to them when they hear someone share their heart and donating as well. So what would that be for you and your company? And how do y'all get back?
Absolutely. So we have the MQA, Pennsylvania's PA Scholarship Program. We're bringing people in from other industries, paying for their education and the training and all of the things that go on in between that. So we launched that last year. We're in the process right now of launching an apprenticeship program, which will be for, you have to apply, you have to have a real estate license, 2 years or less, and be willing to commit to the program. It's 1 year. It's an in-office program where you learn and earn. And so we're just literally getting to launch it. It's going to launch in July. So that is another philanthropic thing that we're doing. And we're really excited about that. In fact, one of the agents in my company, I had asked him, if I gave you the keys to the castle, what would you do? And then he told me why he would do this apprenticeship program. So I got the idea from him. I actually thought about doing it years ago and then I forgot about it and he brought it to my attention and why he thought it would be great. And so here we go. I'm also involved with a lot of other organizations and donating money and for all kinds of different causes and events. And we just also with Remax, we are Children Miracle Network sponsors. And here in Philadelphia, the hospital is CHOP, which is not a Philadelphia hospital, but a global hospital at this point. So that's another one that we're tied with Remax too.
I love both of those things. And so the last question is pretty much a softball, but what is the best way that, if people want to reach out to work with you from a brokerage perspective, reach out and meet up with you up in Philly, or just talk about philanthropy and how y'all can help each other? What's the best way to get in touch with you and your company, Maria?
So they can call 215-607-3535 or email me, Maria@callmq.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. It's my name, Maria Quattrone, Quattrone.
I love that, folks. And all of those links will be right down in the show notes. So whether you're watching us on YouTube, you just saw this on the new TikTok. We actually have a TikTok now for the show. That's a new thing for me. So for your swiping pleasure, or if you're listening to this on the podcast channels, just scroll right down. All of that will be there for your clicking pleasure. Reach out. Maria, thank you for coming on the show. This has been a fantastic treat to talk to a seasoned industry veteran and just hearing someone who specializes in the 1 to 5 million space. This is a unique opportunity. So folks, if that is you, I encourage you to reach out, see how y'all can help each other. And until next time, thanks for coming on, Maria. Appreciate it. Well, thank you to Maria Quattrone for coming on today. Lots of nuggets dropped from an industry vet who has both started before the real estate crash of 2008, survived and thrived through it, and is now still in business today, doing and being awesome with what she does. So if you got any value out of that show, please leave us that 5-star review and thoughtful comment. Pay it forward so we can get this episode to someone like you who would appreciate hearing it. If you want to follow us on social media, hit all the partners at thequattroway.com or just hit us at Team Quattro Capital, one word, no special characters, on all the major socials, and you'll see us there. Also, we're now on TikTok. If you prefer to get your podcast bites on TikTok, you can check us out at Real Estate Runway Podcast on TikTok and actually YouTube as well. So we're all the places for your viewing pleasure. Until next time, folks, this has been another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. Over and out.
We hope this episode was insightful and brought value to your day. If so, please be awesome and leave us a 5-star review. Find out how Team Quattro can help you at thequattroway.com. Until next time, this is the Real Estate Runway Podcast.